the BOGO lecture. Buy one, get one free. Get 2 philosophies for the price of one. What are you going to do with 2 philosophies? You can only live one at a time. My advice is you can use one now and use one later. I was thinking about this last night. How would you would use these 2 philosophies? And thought, yeah. One of these philosophies would be good for youth, for being just coming into adulthood. And one of them would be better for the wisdom of old age. And you can figure out for yourselves which one I think is which. Okay. As I said, they're very different, but they do actually have a lot of common starting points, especially when compared to Aristotle and Plato before them. First, they're contemporary. They're running at roughly the same time, from about somewhere in the 300 before the Common Era to somewhere around the fall of Rome, which means they come into being high point of right there at the beginning of Hellenicism, a little bit after the death of Alexander, but you still have the great big Greek empire / kingdoms. 30-ish years after the death of Aristotle. And then on through the Roman Empire. Kind of significant thing about this is, whereas Aristotle, Plato, all of those previous ones were citizens of smaller communities, belonged to the polis, these thinkers are all tiny little cogs in a big machine. They're just little members of a big empire, and often, in both the case of the various Greek kingdoms and the Roman Empire, really do not have a lot of control over the world they live in. They're just tiny little specks in a huge empire and don't have that much control. Second, empiricism. Empiricism says that what we know of the world, what we know of anything, comes to us from our senses. It doesn't come to us through some sort of mystical revelation of divine forms. It comes to us from our senses. All we can know about the world, on some level, comes to us from our senses. Now, we don't stay at just sense experience. We move on to that using logic and stuff. And from that raw data, and it's very raw data, we're able to form ideas. We can challenge those ideas. We can test theories, all these things. But at its heart, all the data with which we are playing is going to come to us directly from sensation. Materialism. There's not a world of forms out there that determines our reality. What we have is what the senses tell us. What we have is a material world. It's solid, it obeys certain rules, but what there is the material world. We also use that word to mean like hung up on wealth and things like that. They really aren't materialistic in that sense. But they are, as far as physics goes, as far as the view of reality goes, it's matter. So focus upon personal happiness. We don't have that.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break.
Make it stop! A note about personal happiness. It's not just gaining personal pleasure. It's also the avoidance of discomfort. And both schools see that in this way. Hey, I've gone on to the next one. Both of them see that in this way. For both of them, the idea of happiness is not just getting all the happy we can, but avoiding all the unhappy we can. Because, it's sort of a scale, because you can get really great happiness and at the same time great pain, and the happiness, it's not quite so happy. So what you want is to avoid discomfort. And both of them also avoid discomfort, unhappiness, pain, through discipline, by disciplining their desires. Because one of the greatest things that makes us unhappy is wanting things that we can't get. Is trying to have things that we can't get. Is desires. All these wonderful things we want. We're so unhappy we don't get them. We need to discipline our desires, because that's ultimately one of the things that makes us unhappy.